Now, with the Israeli forces confirming Yahya Sinwar's killing, the year-long hunt for the Hamas leader comes to an end. It's a good day for the world. That's what the US President Joe Biden said, who spoke to Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on the phone and also congratulated him. Biden, as well as his Vice President Kamala Harris, called Sinwar's killing an opportunity to free the Israeli hostages held by Hamas and to end the year-long war in Gaza. U.S. State Department spokesperson Matthew Miller said that the country wants to kickstart talks on a proposal to achieve a ceasefire and also secure the release of the hostages. Well, according to reports, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has already held separate phone calls with Saudi and the Qatari foreign ministers in this regard. Meanwhile, EU Chief Ursula von der Leyen said that the death of Sinwar majorly weakens the Palestinian group.
Yes, indeed. Sinwar was the leader of a terrorist organization, the terrorist organization of Hamas, and he was basically the mastermind behind the 7th of October with the killings, the massacres, the rapes and the kidnapping. So his death is certainly significantly weakening Hamas.
Meanwhile, French President Emmanuel Macron, as well as Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, called Sinwar the primary architect of the terrorist attack which took place on October 7th on Israel. UK's Defence Secretary John Healey, who also held Sinwar responsible for Hamas's attack on Israel, said it triggered the darkest day for the Jewish people since the World War and a year of conflict with intolerable Palestinian civilian casualties. Meanwhile, there were mixed reactions to Sinwar's killing in Israel. Several people hit the streets with placards that read, "The picture of victory is the last hostage and not Sinwar in a coffin." And well, to talk more on Sinwar's death and what it means for the war in West Asia, we're now being joined by Dr. Avner Cohen from California. He's a professor of non-proliferation and terrorism studies, Middlebury Institute. Welcome to WION, Dr. Cohen. Now, Israel has confirmed that Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar has been killed in Gaza. We've known in the past that Sinwar topped Israel's most wanted list. The killing of Sinwar is a turning point for the war in Gaza. I want to seek your perspective about the broader implications of Sinwar's death for both Hamas and the geopolitical landscape in West Asia at the moment.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be with you. I think that the implication of his killing are tremendous, at least potentially tremendous. It really, as some world leaders already imply, it allows us for the first time to see the end of this year-long of the worst war that the Middle East has seen, has witnessed for decades, perhaps ever. It allows to have the next chapter, which is the release of hostages, done without the stubbornness of Yahya Sinwar, who essentially in recent months did not allow that negotiation to continue. It weakens the Hamas as an organization in tremendous way, and Hamas will have to recon and to rethink its future. The center of power of Hamas is likely to move from the inside of Gaza, the Gaza Strip, into the outside to Qatar. Possibly Khaled Mishal will be the next leader. And it would allow, I think, to have, if it will be done well, to see the end of the conflict vis-a-vis also Hezbollah and possibly even Iran. So the potential there is tremendous. Whether leaders will be able to take to translate this great operational success into strategical, I think it's still open question.
Right, Dr. Cohen, while the implications of Sinwar's death is paramount, like you also mentioned, but the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu just said that this is not the end of the war, rather it's the beginning of the end of the war, while US President Joe Biden and the West as a whole, they're urging Netanyahu to use this opportunity of Sinwar's death to rather secure a ceasefire deal and also to end a year-long war in West Asia. But it looks like the Netanyahu is adamant on not ending the war in West Asia. Your analysis of what is the broader intent of Netanyahu at this point of time?
It's unclear. It depends on the terms that would lead to a ceasefire, and hopefully after that, the end of the war in those frontiers. I do not take at this point what Netanyahu has said tonight, just hours after the killing, as more than posturing. The facts are that the Israeli army is deeply, greatly needed to have a ceasefire, to regroup, to release people back to their life. I think this year-long was causing incredible damage to the Gaza Strip, to the Israeli economy, to the Israeli life. So I think there is a great desire by essentially all players to find a formula that will lead to end of that war. And of course, the United States would like to be the planner of that kind of grand plan. I think the specific question is what will be the future regime in Gaza itself. I think Hamas has been not just militarily weakened, but also politically in a way that it's clear that it's not going to govern by now. One of the biggest obstacles was Yahya Sinwar himself. With his removal, I think would be it would be much easier to have some kind of joint governors by the PA, the Palestinian Authority, and possibly other countries, including some countries in the Persian Gulf, UAE, and others, possibly even Qatar, possibly Saudi Arabia, possibly Egypt, to send troops that would prevent from Hamas to come back to power. I think now it's feasible. So what Israel was postponing and delaying and putting aside, that is to say the day after, to have a new regime in Gaza, is become now much more feasible. It doesn't mean that it can happen tomorrow. You need to have some political planning, some strategical insight, and I think it's going to be a great deal of pressure on Israel. But I think there are also forces in Israel itself who would like to see, who are yearning to see the end of these hostilities.
Right, Dr. Cohen, and like you mentioned that the U.S. wants to use this opportunity to secure a ceasefire deal, with news just coming in that reports suggest that the U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken may depart for West Asia in a bid to secure a ceasefire deal. But thank you for joining us on WION with your insights on this.
Thank you.